Hi guys. What I wanted to look at today is a problem that I had with my Garmin GPS in terms of using the Department of Primary Industry's mapping software, which is obtained on their website. So if you log in on DPI and you go to view and download public land GPS mapping data, that has all their maps there. This is the current exclusion zone list, and this is all the state forests that are listed, their individual maps. This is an example of one of the individual maps. This is Pennsylvania State Forest. Now, the problem is, on my particular GPS, which is the Garmin Montana 600, you can't physically load this map onto the GPS. Now, the problem with it is the physical map size. So if I take this map here, the physical map itself is too large for the device, the way that the map tiles have been set up, and this occurs on quite a few devices. Some people haven't had the problem, but myself and a few others online have seen have that issue. So if I just try and import this now, get an error up the top: cannot send Garmin custom maps to Montana 600, maximum resolution per image 1 megapixel. So basically what that's saying is this map is made up of tiny tiles, well not tiny but relatively small tiles that make up one big image, and those individual tiles are too big to upload to the device, so those tiles need to be 1 megapixel or less. You could, because I have, these are my ordinary topo maps here, if I just load them, well these are my ordinary topo maps anyway. If I just load them up, but essentially I want to have a topographic map rather than just being able to see the exclusion zone, which is this. So not exactly a good map to go off because you don't have any contours. So I want to get a map where you have this level of detail with the contour lines, but you also have the exclusion zones, which I currently can't upload this map because it doesn't work. So this is to show a little bit of a workaround on how to fix that. So I'm just going to get rid of these entirely for the moment. Start from scratch just to show you. So if I get out of this, I'll go on the DPI website. I'm going to download a fresh file. So if I go to Pennsylvania, download that file. I'm going to open it. And we are this is it here. I'll just move it to my desktop. Okay, now with these maps, they open in Google Earth, so you can actually view them on Google Earth. And what you'll see if you view them in Google Earth, up here, these are your map tiles. So these are the individual map tiles that make up the map, and you can see them loading here. So if I zoom in and I turn off all these and turn them on individually, see one's come up here, that's the next one, that's the next one. Let's just say I want to focus on one map tile, that one there. Okay, so Abercrombie 14 is one map tile. Now the issue with this is I need to make the map tile smaller. I need to make it underneath 1 megapixel. Now ideally what we would do is we actually cut this in half. So if we cut this in half, we can make two that are 1 megapixel instead of having one big one compressed down to 1 megapixel, which will make it lose a lot of detail, so get blur and all that sort of thing in it. But that's for another topic altogether. But for this one here, so if I get out of this, if I look at this file, if I open and extract it like it's a zip file, okay, here are all my images in there. Okay, so you've got images that make up the KMZ file, and you've also got this doc file. Now, all the doc file is doing is saying these are the locations of each of these images. So Abercrombie 9 has these properties: north, south, east, and west. Those are the bounding lines for that image on the map. So when it is loaded into the program, the map knows that this image has a boundary on these 4 points, and it knows where to place it exactly, so it's in line with your other, or in line with the correct location, so you're in this correct spot when you're viewing it. So if we just take this, so that's the one map tile. If I just take that and open it in Photoshop, okay, so we're saying before the limitation needs to be 1 megapixel. So that's 1 million pixels. So when I load this image up, if I go into my image size settings, you can see here it's 374 by 1737. On my calculator, if I go 3474 by 1737, that's 6 million pixels. So this image is, this map tile is 6 times too large to fit on the device, or to be displayed on the device. So what we need to do is downsize this to 1 megapixel. So if I go 1400, I got 1400 by 700 to keep the proportion right. 1400 by 700 is 980,000 pixels, which is 20,000 less than a megapixel. So this value will work. I hit OK, it's going to resize it. Now I lose a bit of detail, but there's nothing I can really do about that. If I now save this map tile and save it over the original, I can then load it and export it. Okay, so if I save this file, I'm going to replace it. I'm going to make it relatively high in terms of quality, 500 kilobytes say, in order to not lose too much detail. Okay, and that's it. I've resized one tile, so I need to just now do the same to these other 4. So I open these other 4, I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to go to image 1400 and I'm going to save it again. Place, yep, close. Just quickly go through that. 100. So I'm doing this for all the different map tiles and saving over them. Right, just 3 more. 1400. Save, overwrite, yes, close. 1. 1400. Save as, overwrite, yep, yep. And this is the last one. 1400. And I'm going to save. And that's done. Okay, so I've actually just resaved all those images. I can close this now. Okay, so this is my original file, and this is my modified file. Okay, now if I go into the modified file again, what the problem with this is, I have to create this file again, because if I extracted these files, so this is different altogether. So if I open this in Google Earth again, okay, I have to, so if I right click all these tiles, I have to right click them, properties, and replace them with those files. So Abercrombie 9, I'm going to go into my, that's it, Abercrombie 9. Okay. And do the same with all of them as well. Abercrombie 10. Okay. Go to the properties, Abercrombie 11. Right. 13. So I'm just replacing the original JPEGs that were too large with the new JPEGs I've created that are under 1 megapixel in size each. Now, it's different to size in terms of physical file size. They can be a large file size. It'll just take longer to load on the GPS. But they can be under 1 megapixel and more than 1 megabyte, and they'll still work. So all I'm going to do now is I've replaced all the photos, all those images. I'm going to right click that place, Pennsylvania, save place as, I'll save it on my desktop as custom pen, Pennsylvania. Okay, save. Okay, now if we go back and close all this now, this here is my new custom KMZ file. So that's made from the original here, which I no longer need. I'll get rid of that. Actually, no, I won't. I'll show you. So load up Garmin Basecamp where I upload my GPS files. Okay. And I'm going to import these two files to show you. So I'm going to import the original. Okay. Now if I drag and try and install the original, no, I get the error, so I can't physically install it. If I now import, my new file, my new custom file, right, I can grab that custom file, drag it in, and see here we're installing, it's installing, and that's worked. So that custom file, that's one I did from before, but that custom file is now on the GPS, and there you can see all the photos, and you can see that they're 1 megapixel in resolution. So they now fit on the device, and they're now going to work on the device. So I've successfully put that map on the device where I couldn't before. The only drawback to this is you can see the difference in quality. See that? See how it's blurry? Very blurry. Whereas the original is clear. And the reason for that is the original is much larger, and that's the whole problem why I can't fit on the GPS in the first place. So if theoretically we can take a map tile, like this is one map tile, and cut that down the middle, we can then have two 1 megapixel files, and we're going to avoid the issue where we lose clarity in the file, because we can still use a larger file, but at the same time we can keep detail by we're doubling the amount of detail we can keep, because it's 1 megapixel in size. If we cut it in half, we can make twice as many tiles at the same size, and then we can get an image that hopefully looks like the original and get it on the device working. So I haven't quite reached that point yet. So the only problem I haven't quite figured out yet is how to find. So I could cut those images in half quite easily. I could do that. I could cut this image in half quite easily. The only thing I don't know how to do yet. So if I hide all these and show one. Okay. The only thing I don't know how to do yet. In this file, where we saw before, there's a location tab, and that dictates this location: north, east, south, west, and these are these 4 points. So north is 33 degrees, 44 minutes, 60 seconds, south is 33 degrees, 48 minutes, 45 seconds, and the east and west points are as follows: 149 and so on. The only thing I don't know how to do is if I cut that map in half. Okay, if I cut that map in half, how do I precisely find the next corner to place the map tile on? So say for instance I cut this tile in half. Well, this is wrong, I'll just hide this for a second. Say for instance I cut this in half. How do I determine exactly where this point and this point are to be able to dictate that when I enter it in the properties to place the location to accurately place that file where it belongs on the map? That's the only thing I haven't figured out yet. So if you know how to do that, leave me a comment please. Thanks. So that's what I figured out so far, and hopefully we can get this working to a point where we bypass the issue altogether and get something together. Thanks.